Welcome to Scarves and Spikes.
Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
Welcome to Scarves and Spikes. Sydney and Tommy with you, basking in the glow of Atlanta United's 2-2 win, 5-4 in penalties against CF Montreal on Tuesday night. Tommy, how's it going? Are we actually in the playoffs?
Never
now?
worried.
Are we actually in the playoffs now?
I know you don't like to call
I
was never worried.
You were never worried.
I was never worried about that game. There was never a minute in that game where I was standing at my bar, unable to sit down from, say, the 70th minute all the way to penalties, screaming like an idiot.
Never happened.
No, it was fine.
Wasn't a doubt in either of our minds, but LA United pulled it off against Inter Miami. CF Montreal, we'll talk about that.
Inter Montreal,
CF Miami. Inter Miami and Lionel Messi are coming up. We'll give our first impressions on that. But, of course, scarvesandspikes.com. All our content is there. Patreon.com/scarvesandspikes. Follow us on social. We're on X, of course. We're on Instagram. We're on Threads, Facebook. And if you're watching for the first time, if you're not a subscriber, like and subscribe to us on Facebook. Thanks to those that already do it. If you have not, definitely do it today. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, your favorite podcaster and all that good stuff. Also, scarvesandspikes.com is the home of the Scarves and Spikes store. Hoodie Weathers.
Do we have a TikTok?
We did not have a TikTok at this time.
Good. We don't want TikTok. We are not getting a TikTok. Do not sign up for a TikTok before. We could go on to it after Friday, but I know that you didn't. I know you didn't start a TikTok specifically because you knew that the Messi love was going too far on there, and I'm glad that you are protesting them. I'm proud of you.
Well, it wasn't a protest. We just don't have one. You're still upset about the Messi cam.
Don't get me started. That's
you already ranted about that.
So yeah, like I feel like this is Christmas. I was at the grocery store before this. I had to go pick up a couple things quick, and it felt like Christmas Day. We got the Hawks starting today. I don't even remember they're playing Brooklyn, I think.
Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, and we won, so we're in the actual playoffs. So I picked up a Great Lakes Christmas ale. It feels like it's Christmas morning.
I don't think they sell that in Georgia though. I think they only sell that in the Great Lakes states.
There's Christmas ale everywhere.
Yeah.
Tell me, do they have Christmas ale in?
I'm sure they do. I'm just talking about the brand you bought, the Great Lakes.
Oh, well, when Tyler came here for MLS Cup last year,
yeah, I
sent him home with some.
Nice. I've not tried that, but maybe if I'm up in your neck of the woods, I'll try it. But yeah, let's
Merry
celebrate.
Christmas. That's what I'm trying to say.
Early
Feels
Christmas.
like Christmas morning.
I heard a Home Depot Christmas ad listening to the game last night. Listening to the game, so
too soon.
Tells us we're coming up on that season. But yeah, we did have 3 takeaways, me, Tyler, and Henry after the match, but what was your main takeaway or takeaways from the match as we kind of wrap up what happened against Montreal? They went up 2-0. Joseph scored twice. Of course, they prevailed in penalties, but give me, I guess, your impressions of what you saw, what you experienced.
I mean, Amador, fantastic, right? Like, beautiful pass. Little worried about his injury, right? Is it's, him going off there? Is he actually injured? Because it is a short turnaround, which I've already ranted about that, so we won't we won't start that all over again. But I mean, it was a beautiful lineup that you have because you don't. I was nervous about starting Tyler Wolf in this game, right? I wasn't sure about Tyler starting there. And Silva obviously is not ready, and Silva hasn't really done anything all year. How many minutes can he play? And he went out and did exactly what he did. Well, what Pineda did, last season, and that was put Brooks to the right, and it worked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a beautiful pass. I mean, he could have had multiple goals in there early, right? He whiffed on one. I mean, that could have been an early 2-0 lead there. And then Gregerson. I mean, obviously, another. It was a Miranchuk, right? I think Miranchuk crossed it into the box, and I mean, that was a beautiful header by him. And he's come in some big moments, right? He had a brace against Columbus, which we said is one of our biggest regular season wins. Right. And he comes in here and he delivers a much needed goal. We didn't, know how much we were going to need that goal there, but you go into the second half and, Brad's making some big saves, and obviously he made that mistake, right? Wasn't able to hold on to it. Joseph cleans it up. It felt like an EAFC goal, like where like someone hit the wrong button and accidentally like just dropped the ball and then someone kicked it in. But, Joseph does what Joseph does and he scores. The penalty, it was so close to being on the line there. I was yelling at the TV. I was in complete fan mode at that point. I'm like, this isn't it. This isn't it. They're just going to have a great opportunity here on a set piece. Yeah. And then they get it. And then you're going to penalties and you're like, this is over. Right? This is absolutely over. And if you didn't see it, I assume a lot of people didn't. I hopped on the Battered Herons podcast to do a live watch along for the penalties. If you could see me, I was like sweating. It wasn't alcohol. I only had one drink. So let me just clarify that. It was not the alcohol. It was the stress of being in penalties. And then like Dax McCarty's taking the first one.
I know.
Like that was like that was not on my list. And then like I couldn't even think of like I was so nervous, and I'm like, all right, who's coming up last here to close this out? I'm like, oh yeah, we have Saba on this team. I completely forgot that he's still out here. And you just forget about at that moment, you're just so stressed. You're not even thinking who's coming up next. You're just
let's put the ball
waiting to just score. And you go I think that's the first time you've gone 5 for 5, right?
Yeah, and the thing with penalties is you don't need tactics for penalties. I mean, sure, you have to select the right players, right? But all you got to do is hit the ball in the back of the net. But you just need the confidence and the ability to know that you have to take your chance, because it could literally mean the difference between you advancing and you being eliminated. And Atlanta United took all of their chances well at the spot. Gazan, of course, the save on Pierce's attempt. That really was the difference for Atlanta United, atoning for that mistake on Joseph's goal earlier in the night. So outside of that first goal he conceded, or Joseph scored, that Gazan coughed up, he was good. And he's been good for a good portion of this season. I thought outside of Saba, he's your MVP, and he gets a lot of hate because of his age, which
you must have been in our Discord today.
Well, it's understandable because you kind of think of, okay, what's the next chapter for Atlanta United in the goalkeeping, at goalkeeper, and he's really proven himself. I think in another world, he's comeback player of the year, perhaps, or certainly close to it. Of course, the record doesn't reflect a lot of what he's done, but he's just been so valuable, and they're not in the postseason without him. I really think that, of course, had a bad turnover on Joseph's goal, but he recovered, and you can't really fault him for the second goal, I don't think. But yeah, it was controversial. It really was controversial. If you look at it 1,000 times, you maybe get different views each and every time, but it's just so close. And those are the margins that you get in football. And ultimately, Atlanta didn't let it get to them in penalties. As I said, perfect 5 for 5. And as you were saying, I think that's the first time they've been 5 for 5 in penalties. It's kind of been, at least has kind of been a bad word for Atlanta United, especially if you look back at Leagues Cup. So good for them to kind of shake off that stigma of a team never being able to really win the penalties outside of Charleston, of course, in the Open Cup, and get the win and penalties over Montreal.
Yeah, look, I said they were going to win 2-1. Boy, it was looking good there when it was 2-0, right? Thought it was looking real. We both said 2-1, and it looked real good there. And then it's like, all right, it's 2-1. It's 2-1. Let's not make it 2-2.
Right.
And then a few minutes later, that happens. Yeah, I mean, and the interactions between Joseph and Brad Guzan during that game, and then after the game, just shows you like
the respect.
Well, yeah, and also like when you're playing a game, you just hate the other person. Like my best friend and I are very competitive, competitive. Like we play Mario Party late on Saturday nights and Fridays, and we hate each other during Mario Party, right? And like that reminded me of Brad and Joseph. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure he called him a mother effer at one point. At least that was what I was reading on Brad's lips.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is me playing Mario Party with my friends. Like, yeah, I hate you. And then afterwards, you know, we'll hug and it's a good game.
Brad said that before, you know, he said, you know, once you get out there on the pitch, once you get inside that touch line, you know, all the friendships are over. And he's as competitive as anybody out there when it comes to really setting aside allegiances and really getting after it. And Tuesday night was the example of that, right? Yes, you mentioned the back and forth with Joseph, but deep down inside is a mutual respect for each other, a mutual respect for what each man has meant for Atlanta United throughout their respective tenures. Of course, the fiery competitiveness in both players. You saw it each and every time they stepped on the field together. Joseph up front, just demanding the ball, demanding so much more from his teammates. He would score like 4 goals and still not be happy if they lost 5-4. Same thing with Brad Guzan. He expects a clean sheet every night. He expects perfection from his back line. And you can see it, him yelling at his back line, getting on his defenders all the time. Just the competitive fires. Two very similar players in that regard who hate to lose. And you definitely saw that play out against Miami. Or I keep saying Miami. That's the second time this episode I said Miami. Montreal. So good on Atlanta for getting the win and penalties. And then, of course, they will play Inter Miami. I want to visit real quick on Rob Valentino's comments about Miami as we kind of transition and still kind of stick with the match. But of course, you have Messi coming up, and you know what he's capable of. We know what Suarez is capable of. And his remarks was, you know, we've played them before. You know, it's not all about Messi, and it's about the other players around him. So that's something they'll have to watch out for. But I guess the big question is, you mentioned the 2-2 draw. You're up 2-0. You coughed up a 2-0 lead. And we said on the takeaways, Miami is not going to let you get away with that. They have such lethal players in the attack that they're not going to let you get away with many mistakes. And that's something that Atlanta United will have to really focus on the training ground. They have limited time to train, right? They are training on Thursday. Then they leave.
They have no time to train.
They have no time to train. And we've talked about this with the schedule. And just to kind of that point, Rob Valentino saying, you know what, we can't do anything about the schedule. We just got to play. Deep down inside, the players are wondering, gosh, why do we have to play on such a short turnaround? And to be fair, the fans as well. But yeah, you have no time to train. And again, that's a detriment of this playoff schedule. And we can go on and on about it. But he said, look, the schedule's the schedule. We can't do anything about it at this point. We just have to play. We just have to expect to win. And, you know, that's what I liked about Rob Valentino during his tenure. He expects to win. And he knows he takes it personally when this team doesn't do what it's meant to do. He takes it personally when they give up goals, give up cheap goals. You know, he's just like the fans in that regard. I mean, obviously he's a coach, but he's just like the fans in that regard where, you know, mistakes happen and he's not happy about mistakes. So the focus has to be on how can we learn from what happened against Montreal, just make sure it doesn't happen again, or it doesn't happen again against Miami, because if they don't take care of that, Tommy, it's going to be a quick series. It's going to be a tune out. So,
well, they did this in Orlando too. We got lucky. right? This is exactly what happened in Orlando. You go up 2-0, and then Orlando scores, and then you get the VAR ends up taking that second one back. So, if it felt like it was deja vu in this game, and it was like, please just don't let this be a penalty, and it didn't get reversed. It happens, and then you got to get yourself out of it again. It felt exactly like that, and that's what this team has done here. A lot has been blowing leads. Unfortunately, it's just been the way it is. In New England, I'm pretty sure that when they played Miami on decision day, I think they were up 2-0, and then Miami came back and scored six
unanswered,
six unanswered goals here. So you're never going to be safe here. And people go back and you go back and you look at those 2 Miami games that you've already played against them, and in the first game, right, you had Giakoumakis and you had Almada. I think you had Giakoumakis, unless he was hurt. I don't remember if he was hurt or not.
Probably
he was hurt all year.
He was hurt a lot.
Yeah, but Almada was definitely in that game. And you took them on. You took them on full strength. You were able to get the win. Obviously impressive. And the second game at home, they were missing a lot of defenders, right? And we were missing DPs, right? We didn't have DP. Was Miranchuk in that game?
I think so.
I think so. So you had a DP out there, but yeah, I mean, you didn't have Giakoumakis, you didn't have Almada in there. They didn't have their defenders, but you were able to, grind out a point, which obviously that point ended up being very important at the end of the season to get you where you wanted.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, every game has been a little bit different here. Now, Miami has been getting healthy. They have been improving. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous about this game 1 because of like what we've talked about is the scheduling is you go from Orlando home to Montreal. I'm sure they stopped at home, right? I'm sure they stopped back in Atlanta unless they just packed their bags, assuming they were going to Miami.
They'll train on Thursday.
Okay. They didn't. Right. So they didn't. So they come back home either, I assume, late last night.
Yeah.
And then they do a quick training and then they go right back to Miami. It's a tall task for any team out there to be able to go face the best team in MLS history, right? The most points of any team that they've ever had. And I'm not making excuses because I'm sure there's a Miami friend of mine or two that might be in here that's about to throw a comment out here at us. But what I'm saying is that I said this before, whether it was Miami or Montreal, is you want the best product possible for your league. And I think, and this is going to be on Apple stores apparently. So I'm gonna take the wife out to an Apple store.
Go to the mall.
Watch. Yeah, we're gonna bring some beers. We're gonna bring them into the Apple store and just.
I don't think
down.
they like that though.
I mean the Genius Bar, whatever they call it. We'll just sit
down.
It's
called a bar, by the way.
The Genius Bar.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Could you, man? I should do this, but I'm not going to. I think Tina would murder me. But yeah, we'll just pull up to the Apple store, sit down, and be like, yeah, we're here to watch the game, and just see their reactions. I think that would be amazing.
Be like, what game?
Well, it's supposed to be on all of them. It's supposed to be on Times Square, so that you can watch it there because you know that all New Yorkers love to watch Atlanta versus Miami while they're enjoying the beautiful city of New York. And then you've got the whole TikTok thing.
At Sparrow.
Yeah, you got the whole TikTok thing. It's like, why couldn't you make this Saturday? Like, just Miami doesn't need any help, right? And I find it ridiculous. But then they get a full week off, a week and a day to come back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm not saying I'm writing off game 1 at the moment. In my mind, though, I'm saying like we're screwed just because of the short recovery. And I would say that for any team, I would say it for the Crew as well. Like if it was the Crew, because I think the Crew, I still have the Crew as winning MLS Cup again. I look at that and say, even if the Crew had to do the travel that they did and have to do this quick turnaround, they would struggle as well on there. And that was just my point, is that you want to give the best product to your fan base, and you're just not doing it. This will be the last time I rant about it until we do on MLS Monday, where I say, I told you all, the stupid league and TikTok and all of that screwed us out of game 1. Now it's on to game 2.
Yeah.
But if they do it, if they go to Miami and beat Miami.
Right.
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
Ain't that some shit? Like that would be crazy, right? And I haven't even looked. I'll give you a minute to talk here, but I'm gonna look up to see what the odds are here.
Are you gonna put money down?
No,
Riverboat Tommy.
no, I would not. I did bet on Joseph yesterday scoring a goal, and I felt dirty because I was like, I did want him to score 3. I know the penalty doesn't count, but I didn't want him to score 3 goals. I just wanted 1.
How much did you make on that, by the way? I forgot to ask you.
I won $175 off of it.
You put that how much?
Or no, 275 actually.
Put that
I bet 100.
Okay.
I bet 100.
Not bad. No, but you mentioned it, and we can go on all night, all episode about it. It's just a quick turnaround. And again, Rob Valentina said, it is what it is. Essentially, it is what it is. That can't, in the grand scheme of things, be an excuse for Atlanta United. But at the same time, it's reality. It's going to be a reality for any team in that position. And we said it the other day, MLS is trying to have his cake, and by extension, Apple is trying to have his cake and eat it too. And they can't do that. And the MLSPA, Players Association, I'm sure isn't too thrilled about the fact that this is the reality for the 8-9 team, having to go out on very limited rest in the first match of the playoffs, or the first match of round 1. So I'm sure that's bound to be a massive point of discussion. The league and the owners will think differently. Apple will think differently because, it's a moneymaker. And Friday, I assume the rationale around it is you don't want to go against college football on Saturday, which will dwarf your audience, or Sunday, of course, NFL. But there's got to be a different way around it, right? There's got to be a different way around it. And MLS just needs to sit down with the players and come up with a solution that benefits both parties, because you're cutting off, again, your own nose to spite your own face. And again, not to make an excuse, you have to go in and win. It's not impossible to win on Friday. It's not. You've beaten them twice. That being said, playoffs is a different animal. It's a whole different.
Well, you got points against them twice.
Yeah, you got points against them twice. Exactly. You've been them once. And you drew them. You should have won the second time. Should have won the second time at home. But only team to do that. Only team to not lose to Inter Miami in the regular season. So you take that with you, but at the same time, there's still some flaws that you need to iron out, as we mentioned. Just this inability to hold on to leads. Orlando and then Montreal. That's going to be a massive thing that they need to take care of. And the belief, Tommy, in this group is just sky high right now. That being said, you don't win games on belief, but on the other side of the coin, it's good to go in confident, knowing that, hey, we know what we need to do. We've done it before in the regular season. And even though playoffs is different, we have the ability to win. And that's a powerful thing in sports. Just that will to win is a powerful thing in sports. Those intangibles are a lot of times good enough to get you over the line. And that's what I like about Rob Valentino, has rallied this team to never accept losing and never accept a negative result. And let me ask you this, though, real quick, as we kind of pivot. If they win the Miami series, and I'm sure this will come up later, I think you know where I'm going with this. I know your opinion. I know we've said before, but if they win the Miami series, does he get the permanent head coaching job? What do you think?
There's a chance.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a legit chance he can. I mean, we heard another rumor today, right?
Yeah,
there was a rumor that came out about Atlanta being interested in someone else, a guy that most people do not like. Well, if you say his name, he might appear. That's how it works. Yeah, Jim Curtin was a rumor that they reached out to him. Maybe you should reach out to the Columbus guy and offer him a lot of money and get him over. Now, I don't see him doing that, but man, that would get me excited. That would get me. I don't care what Rob does. Get him in there. But you see these locker room videos and all of this and the locker room pictures. It feels like 2018. It feels like 2019. Where's Nagby with the phone, the shoe phone, right? Holding it up. Where is that? Where's Parkhurst doing something goofy with Nagby in the picture? Like, that's what it felt like to me. Like, because you You don't have road victory pictures over the years because you won 0 road games. It felt like from 2020 up until Rob took over. Like that's what it felt like. Or you didn't really win many statement games until, I mean, Miami was like the biggest road game win that I can remember in a long time. And then Pineda got fired right after that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at it, and we talked about it yesterday, it was like you look at, it's the third best record Atlanta has on the road. Nobody can tell me that it feels like that. Nobody can, because we were complaining all season that we can't do anything on the road. And then, yeah, obviously we've gotten some results, but still, it doesn't feel like we were this was the third best road team ever. And obviously it probably has to do with the year 2 and 3, I think it would be. Were probably the two best ones, but yeah, it just doesn't feel like it. But I mean, getting back to your question, because I never really answered it. I mean, I think he's always been a finalist. Like he was obviously going to be one of the final people considered in here. But again, like it's hard. We've always said it was going to be hard for him because he's got a meh roster, right? I mean, this Montreal team, we looked it up during the watch on. They had one DP.
Yeah.
Montreal had one DP. So, you were going up against kind of the same type of situation, right? Like one DP versus one true DP, right? I mean, we got a guy in there that's just kind of there. That's really not a true DP. But you were able to do that. But what do you do if you give Rob the resources? What can he do with it? I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity for that. I don't know if that's fair or it's not fair. But I'm happy that he gets these moments, and whether this is, the last run and he gets a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is great for Rob's career long term because this is what he's wanted to do for a long time. He's getting the opportunity. And if he doesn't get this, there's somebody watching these games and saying he's getting a lot out of, I don't want to say a little, but he's getting a lot out of compared to what other teams have, the resources that they have. And I don't want to play poor that we don't have resources. It's just we don't have the resources on this roster at this moment, right? We don't have all the full DPs in there. You're just lacking a lot here. And he's still able to get the results. He was able to sneak into the playoffs on the last day. He was able to win a single elimination game in Montreal. And now he's going to play Miami. And if he can get one win, and like it feels like last year with Columbus, right? Like I don't think a lot of people thought we were going to do a lot in Columbus, but I mean, you got one. You dominated them at home, and for him, I hope it's not a sweep. I really hope it's not a sweep because I think that Rob really it would be great for Rob to see him being able to get a win here.
Yeah, and let me add this, and this is based on nothing. I don't have any sources or anything on the inside or anything like that. This is just speculation. Keep an eye if they're able to make significant progress against Inter Miami, whether or not they advance. Keep an eye on the San Jose Earthquakes job. Rob Valentino is a Northern California guy. He grew up in Northern California, went to school at the University of San Francisco, played collegiately there. If, again, they do well against Miami, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be surprised if he is a candidate for the San Jose job. Now, that being said, there could be another quote unquote sexier candidate that they may look at for that position. And, just throwing this out there too, the owner of the San Jose Earthquakes is John Fisher, who is really persona non grata up there in Northern California, especially around Oakland. But I wouldn't put it past San Jose to say, hey, we're looking for a relatively cheap up and coming hire. Why not bring back Rob Valentino to the Northern California region, to the Bay Area, and let him do his thing with San Jose? Now, big question is, will he have the resources there to compete because their owner's cheap and he pretty much alienated the entire city of Oakland? But it's a thought, and like that, it wouldn't surprise me if he's a candidate. Again, I'm not basing that on anything I've heard, but I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. But at the same time, the priority now is beating Miami, and we can talk about all that other coaching stuff later. And by the way, the curtain rumor or the curtain report, I wouldn't call it a rumor because Tom Boger, we know, we trust him. He's spot on. But his report is really the first bit of head coaching news we've heard since we learned that Vieira was interested in the job. And we haven't heard much about the progress of potentially hiring Vieira. But you wonder what other head coaches is he talking to? Yeah, you joked about Henri, right? In Columbus. You joked about that. Maybe Cherundolo, that's being discussed as well. Not by anyone online, but in our Discord. Maybe Steve Cherundolo from LAFC. That being said, LAFC have the war chest to match any offer. I'm sure that only United could take. Pablo Mastroeni from RSL. Those are maybe some names that are floating out there that if Garth was fully committed to bringing in the current MLS head coach, you could throw him out there. But going back to Jim Curtin, Dan saying in the chat, the rumor got him questioning whether Garth is the man to turn it around. So I want to kind of.
How do you feel about that comment? Because
yeah,
I was going to respond back to it. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so here's where I'm thinking about this, right? So if you look at Philadelphia, their payroll is the 5th lowest in MLS. So they're very frugal. Jay Sugarman, the owner, has been known to be very frugal with his team, with his roster building, him and Ernst Tanner, his technical director. That's why you have a lot of young players on this roster, and they're good players. Like Quinn Sullivan is a good player. Of course, the Aronson brothers have come out of their academy, had some playing time with the Union first team. Mark McKenzie, Kevin Sullivan, maybe the next kid up. So they've had success with the academy, and they've exported a lot of great academy players that have come through the Union first team. Having said that, you wonder if Jay Sugarman has given Jim Curtin the opportunity to succeed. Has he given him the resources he needs to become competitive in MLS? And that's a debate I'm sure the folks in Philadelphia, Union fans, will have. You're going to get that at Atlanta. You're going to get that investment. You're going to get an owner and Arthur Blank, who really has a blank check to bring in any player he wants within reason. You have a general manager and president. Well, not a general manager, but you have a president and Garth Lagerwey, who will have your full support and full backing to make the team as good as he can. You have, now that being said, you're not going to have the same free spending at Atlanta United that you had when Darren Eales and Carlos Bocanegra are here, but you have the ability to, allegedly, but you have the ability to bring in a big fish if you want. Philadelphia, their front office isn't really a big fish kind of front office. Atlanta United is, and I'm sure if you give him the chance to be in a situation like that, he could make the most of it. Having said that, there's the argument of, is he too stuck in his ways tactically? He relies on that midfield diamond, right? Does he need to shake that up? Does he need to modify that for MLS 2025 and going forward? So that's the knock against him, I guess. That being said, they did miss the playoffs. So is that a factor, or is that based on he didn't get the support he needed from the front office, or is he tactically behind? And again, that's a debate that you'll have to have. But I guess, what are your thoughts when you heard it?
Look, he's a jerk. He's a jerk. I'll start off with that, right? And I'm sure Daniel. I mean, that's part of it, right? I mean, Atlanta fans hate him. I mean, the whole thing about checking your IDs and it's a party. How do you come back from that and come into the stadium and be like, I'm here to party? Like, if he came in and that was his opening press conference, that would be hilarious, right? That'd be funny. But if you talk shit about a city and then you become the coach, that's like I always say, you don't. What my parents always told me, you don't burn bridges, right? On the way out, or you never know what's going to happen. I think he's a good coach, and like you said, we've been talking about it for a while. Was that could they talk to him about it? And I know Henry and I talked about it on I think it was just me and him doing a Patreon episode a while back. But when we were talking about it, it was like he doesn't get the resources that he needs. Like you said, a team comes in and says, "Hey, we'll give you those resources," right? Like
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, they have a great academy over there in Philadelphia. I mean, they get a lot of young players that come in, but the DPs are really what make your team go from, you know, the top tier. And they've been lacking that. And yeah, I mean, I understand why you'd at least knock on that door and have that conversation with him. And if he says no, okay, cool. You can at least try it. I mean, I hope that, I mean, because of what Garth wants, right? He wants
Yeah.
MLS experience or a salary cap experience, that you go and you knock on all the doors. Like calling Columbus,
I mean, that's
I
a
hope
weird
he does,
resort.
right? Like, I don't think you're doing your job if you don't at least try. Now, I don't think he would leave, or if he does leave, it's not for another MLS team. But damn, man, you got to try
Make him say
for
no.
sure. Yeah, and the Crew have money as well. They have their owner is the owner of the Cleveland Browns, so I'm sure that if they wanted to continue this, they could. They can.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think you try for all the ones that you're interested in, and see what they say, and it can't hurt, and go from there. But yeah, I don't mind it. And Gray also says like it'd be sweet to beat Miami and then steal Henderson from them. I still think Henderson's coming in no matter what at this
Yeah.
point, because it's not stealing Henderson. He's just working on like a week to week paycheck, from my
Right.
understanding. He doesn't have a contract, right? So if you can get him out of like punching his time card every day when he walks in and just give him a salary, I'm sure that he's more than willing to do that. And if Miami wins a championship, cool. He's
Yeah.
still going to get a ring no matter what, right? They're going to give him that ring.
Presumably.
Yeah, they would. I mean, unless it went really bad. Hey, you know that office you had? You're not getting that, or you're not getting that ring either. I think they end up, hooking him up with that. But
Yeah.
Henderson's the guy.
What about as we kind of talk about coaches in MLS? What about the names I mentioned: Toronto, LAFC, Mastroeni, RSL, proven winners, especially Toronto. Toronto has an MLS Cup. Mastroeni not quite there yet, but maybe those are names that you throw out there. RSL, their ownership group, the Smiths have a lot of money, but I don't know if it's as much as Arthur Blank does. So I don't think they'd be interested in bidding war with Atlanta United. LAFC certainly wouldn't. But again, in the case of Henry, who, by the way, just signed a contract extension at the end of the 2023 season, make them say no. See what happens. Throw a number out there and see if either ownership group can match it. If you get turned down, great. If you don't get the guy you want, at least he tried. And again, that made me think, okay, what are the names is he looking at from MLS? I don't think he hired an assistant. You've already been down that road. They tried to do
No,
it with, yeah, they tried to do it with Pineda. They knew that he had success in Seattle with Smetzer, but I don't think they do it again. This has to be a
that's
head coach.
Rod though.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Rod though.
I mean, sure, but at the same time, he's going to get a job somewhere. I throw out the San Jose example. If you don't keep him around as an assistant under a new coaching staff, or if the new head coach doesn't want to bring him in as an assistant because he has his own individuals in mind, he's going to get a job somewhere else as a head coach. I guarantee it. And if it's at Atlanta United, it's going to take a lot more. I feel like I think you put the chances just above 50% if they beat Miami. If they go any further than that, you have to up those chances a lot. I don't think, again, I have no illusions in thinking they'll win MLS Cup or anything like that. I mean, if they do, that's a guaranteed job for him. But you have to wonder, what the situation is and what the decision will be, depending on how far they get in this next series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and Liam saying, they need to move on from unproven defensive back and coach. I mean, just sticking with the coach thing. I remember the like 2 weeks into the Pineda era, or maybe it was like a couple months, but like remember it was Felipe, I think, that tweeted like, you don't give the the keys to a Mercedes to a child or something, whatever. I don't remember what it was, but it hit a lot of people hard, right? And it stuck with a lot of people. I think it was like when they were struggling. And if you're really trying to continue here, like, once if they start 0-3 next year, right, with him?
Yeah.
And like, I understand, like, a new manager might get a little bit more slack, but like next season is going to be a very tricky thing to keep an eye on, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But we've talked about before, just so many changes that are going to be happening.
Right.
Can you get this team ready in time to be able to be competitive day one? You know, I think they already announced it, that the season's starting at the end of February. And trust me, everyone, we saw the article. We saw the article that was today about them changing the MLS schedule. Come back for MLS Monday. We will talk about that. But let me just say right now, it's stupid. That we'll leave it at there. And if that's the tease, if we call that a
really
tease,
feel?
It's stupid, and I will rant about it for a while now. But we will get into that next week. We still got Miami to talk about, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they're shaking every tree, right? To be able to see what they can find. I just don't think you're doing your job if you don't do that. And now we know that they are, right? That they're talking to everybody. Yeah. There's other teams that have been eliminated in the past. We got so many Edgars in our chat right now. They're all saying it's like, hi Edgar, hi Edgar. You got a bunch of teams that were just eliminated, and you're going to get more teams that are start getting eliminated here in the next couple of weeks. I'd like to have a manager already before the MLS playoffs are over. So I don't know who they're looking at here, but if you're in the final four of the MLS playoffs, you're probably not leaving your team. It's a very good chance you're not leaving. So that's why I don't really believe that Columbus is going to move on. But again, you should be talking to every single person that you can and see what you have available to you. But we thought that we'd be talking about today. I mean, I don't know how confident everybody was. I mean, going into decision day, I think we all thought we'd be talking about the offseason. Maybe Henderson already hired here. We've got 2 more games. Two more to talk about, at least 2 that we get to talk about. We got Friday, we got next Saturday. I hope the Benz is crazy, absolutely wild, and I hope there's don't give. I mean, there's gonna be plenty of tickets available, but don't sell good tickets to people in pink jerseys. Don't do that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's try to make the Benz. Look, I understand people are gonna take pictures of Messi when he comes in, but boo him while you're taking those pictures. Absolutely boo the hell out of him. And Suarez.
Busquets, Alba.
Yeah, all of them. Don't boo Russell. Don't boo Russell. I mean,
don't boo Russell.
We still like that guy. Yeah. I mean, keep those guys there, but everyone else, just boo the hell out of them. It's fine. Campana, all of them. But I'm excited. I'm excited because we weren't expecting to be here 2 weeks ago. A lot of people weren't expecting us to be here then. I wasn't expecting us to be here after 90 minutes going into penalties. But here we are. We are here. 2 more games. TikTok. Go to TikTok. Go to Apple. Go to Times Square. Wherever you got to go on Friday. Your basement. Your bar. Wherever. And enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we talked about it already. Atlanta are playing with house money. And the further they get, it's just gravy at this point. No one expected them to even be in this position. And now you get Miami, who are going to be heavily favored. All the pundits are picking against Atlanta United, understandably so, because
there's no one picking Atlanta. There's no one. Exactly. Like that was like when you see those graphics like on the NFL week where everyone picks that one team.
Right.
Like everyone picked the Buccaneers to beat the Falcons a couple of weeks ago, and the Falcons win.
Yeah.
But there's not a single person that's picking them to win, unless Tyler's here. If Tyler's here, he's picking.
Right. No, but it's true, and this team has just fed off this, not disrespect, just fed off the fact that nobody believes in them. And again, I get it. This was a team that barely snuck into the playoffs, and barring a VAR decision toward the end of the match against Orlando, you'd be sitting at home and we'd be having a totally different discussion. But they've done what they needed to do. They snuck past Orlando. They snuck past Montreal. and nobody cares how you get there as long as you get there. And same thing with this series. Nobody's going to care how you win as long as you win, right? This has the opportunity to be an all-time run for Atlanta United and for an MLS team who, again, nobody believes in. Nobody feels that they're going to get far at all. They're just looking at Messi. They're looking at Suarez. Understandably so. Those two have combined for 40 plus goals. That's incredible. And Henry said it in our takeaways. Messi has the ability to come up big in big moments. Look at the Champions Leagues he's won. Look at the Ballon d'Ors he's won. Look at what he's done with Barcelona, PSG, all of his other stops. It's kind of surreal to be talking about Lionel Messi in this situation. The two of us, Tommy, just chatting about Lionel Messi, and here he is in the knockout, well, not a true knockout, but a knockout tournament, best of 3 first round knockout the rest of the way. I think the big thing is, and we've talked about it before, how will their legs hold up? These guys aren't young players. You're going to need to lean on them more than you have before. If you're Tata Martino, and with Messi carrying a pre-existing injury that he suffered, of course, in Copa, Suarez, again, he's no spring chicken. So you're going to really need lean on those two in the attack. You have, of course, Campana, who is a younger option, and he's a player that has proven himself before this Galacticos era that Miami are in right now. So we know what he can do. Certainly Gressel, Robert Taylor, Kremaski, of course, players like that. And that's why Rob said, look, it can't just be all about Messi. We have to look at the other players. Obviously, be aware of where Messi is at all times, because if you don't, he'll burn you. But it's not just about Messi and Suarez. They have such talent on this team that we talked about. If you take away Messi and Suarez, you put in Campana in that starting 11, you put in Suarez's backup in that starting 11, they could really win a lot of matches in MLS. And Campana, for one, I think is a starting quality number 9 in MLS that has thrived really sitting behind Suarez. He has the ability really to start in any team in MLS. So this is a quality side. You're talking about the defending. Defending isn't the best, and that's why Atlanta United need to exploit, especially on Friday as they go into a hostile environment. Tommy, you know that Chase Stadium will be just fever pitch. This is playoffs. This is playoffs. This is an opportunity for them to add more silverware. They've already got the Shield. They want to add an MLS Cup. They've already clinched their spot in Champions Cup next year. Already got a spot in Club World Cup. I was going to say earned their spot, but nobody knows how they got the spot in the first place. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, FIFA. But this is they want the double. They want the double, and that's going to be at the back of their minds. They got the points record, as you mentioned earlier. So this is a team that this is your toughest opponent, your toughest challenge by far, really, in the history of your club. And as we said, they've won at that building, but again, playoffs is a different animal. Don't let the moment get too big. If you're in Atlanta United, don't get overwhelmed by the moment. Take it one step at a time, 1 minute at a time. If you go down, get back up. This is a best of 3 series. Hopefully you don't lose on Friday. If you lose, you at least get back to the bends. Maybe you can get a win at home and force it to game 3. But the moment can't be too big for Atlanta United. It's do or die at this point. Again, best of 3, but essentially it's do or die. And every moment, every mistake can come back to bite you in a big, big way. And as I mentioned earlier, mitigating those mistakes, decreasing those mistakes needs to be a priority. Get a goal early. Get 2 goals early, like you've been doing, and really make Miami work for it and really put them under pressure. We know they can score, right? But
and pray. Get up 2-0 and pray.
Yeah. No, but we know obviously they can score, but really put them under pressure in front of their own fans. Make them play Atlanta United style of football. And I think you can really give yourself half a chance to win if you're able to do that.
Yeah. I'm excited, right? I plans to go to a haunted house on Friday. No haunted house on Friday. Sorry, kids. Staying home.
That off the list.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So what let's talk about real quick about just again, you have these other playoff matches going on, throughout these next few weeks, next few months really leading into MLS Cup in December. Eh, Of course, I know you said Columbus out of the East. We'll talk about it another time, but Columbus out of the East, LA, one of the LA teams out of the West. This can be, just looking at the big picture, this can be a really good series. I saw Ben Wright, a good friend of the show, Ben Wright kind of talking about, some of these matchups are going to be generational. I mean, you have the potential of LAFC possibly in the semifinal, Miami, Columbus in the semifinal if Atlanta United don't beat them. You have a lot of possibilities in this bracket, and I for one can't wait. I mean, I'll be watching, I'm sure, as much as I can, and you will too. Watching as much as you can, maybe around the Oregon games or what have you. Well, you'll be in. You're probably going to Ann Arbor, aren't you, in a few weeks? But
Yeah, people ask me
Michigan,
if I'm
Oregon,
flying out. I was good luck, right? I sat in your seat for game 2 of Columbus, and we ended up winning that game. That game will just be wrapping up right around when Atlanta United starts. So my drive home from Michigan will be having the game on and watching it.
Mike and Jason on 1990 The Game on the Odyssey app. Plug
Yeah,
for our friends over there.
yeah. It'll be a good one. And my problem last year was, and I said this as soon as the schedule came out last year. I'm like a scheduling. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. But man, I hate schedules. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. Like Atlanta United's first playoff game in years, right? All the pictures of like the stadium completely filled up, beautiful, right? Full tifos, and you put that playoff game on a Wednesday night, where nobody was able to make it in time. Like a third of the stadium was filled, like by the time it was going on, because there was a huge car accident on a Wednesday. The Home Depot backyard had nothing going on, like nothing at all. You got a Saturday game, and it's very likely going to be fully open, right?
I'm hearing it won't be.
It won't be?
That's what I'm hearing initially.
Well, maybe if they sell tickets, then they'll open it up. As long as you don't like outprice that top section like they did the first time when they had them there. Yeah. But either way, that stadium's going to be crazy. And that's what you want to help sell this league. I still think it's ridiculous that none of these games are going to be on FS1. I understand they want to sell the Apple Pass for this for $9.99. Apparently, I learned yesterday on Spaces for the remainder of the playoffs. If you don't have it and you didn't want to pay for it, $9.99 gets you access for games 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wish they did have one of those games on there, because I think, when you, even before I knew it was Atlanta playing them, like, you need to sell the league, right? You need to remind people that this league has some big stars in it. And right now, whether you like it or not, Messi, Suarez, Busquets, all these guys, they just set a record for the best team ever. They're some of the best players ever. You need to push your product outside. I know you don't want to give it to Fox or anyone else, but that's ultimate. Like, people don't remember. Like, I've mentioned it before. People don't remember. Like, you used to see MLS on all the time at bars. All the time. They used to have Friday games before they went to the Saturdays, right? Yeah. Sunday games were real popular, right? On ESPN or ABC, you had those games.
Yep.
I have not been to a bar since Apple has taken over and MLS has been on TV.
Yeah. So I'll kind of go 2 points about that. Cheyenne Foster from Between Clean Sheets, friend of the show. She was talking about, she's, and by the way, if you don't know Cheyenne, she bought a Toyota Hiace. She's traveling country watching soccer. And she ended up going to, what was it? Was it RSL or I think it was RSL. So she was talking about, if she wanted to watch the Atlanta-Montreal match, she would have to fly out to Atlanta for a watch party. She would have to tune in on TV, or she'll have to go to a bar or something like that. I could be remembering wrong, and she mentioned the same thing. If she went to a bar, there'd be nowhere to watch it on TV, really. I mean, there would be a way, but it'll be tough.
Can I log into your Apple TV?
Yeah, exactly. That's the point she was making. But I will say this on a second point. stemming off of that. So both Sunday night matches will be on FS1, which I don't know what else is going on Sunday night, by the way. Monday night, both matches will be on FS1, which again, I don't know what's going on Monday night. Something important in another league or something like that. Both Tuesday night matches.
What's going on Monday?
I know.
The World Series?
Well, that too. But and the Tuesday night.
What else is going on Monday? What am I missing?
Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football. But
I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, I thought there was
the other football. But no, Monday night, you have Monday Night Football, you have the World Series, you have Cincinnati NYC, and then Seattle Houston. That's a doubleheader on Monday night. And then Tuesday night, you have Columbus, New York Red Bulls, and then Real Salt Lake, Minnesota. So those matches will be on FS1, but they're kind of dwarfed by especially Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football in the World Series. Kind of a no-win situation if you're watching on FS1. But there's credence to what you're saying. There needs to be more of an effort on Fox's part and MLS's part to promote these matches. You're trying to do a good job with it with Inter Miami matches. You're having in Times Square for crying out loud. You have ISO Cam on TikTok for Messi. Sorry to bring that up again, but at least you're making an effort for that. But what about everybody else? What about all these other matches going on? These have the potential to be really good playoffs, and you have to get this product put out there so as many people can see it as possible, especially going into the World Cup. And I kind of wish, there would be a better effort to get these on broadcast television. MLS Cup will be on Big Fox, I believe, but you have to do a better job with these other matches. Don't stick them on FS1. Very few people watch FS1 at night. It's better than nothing, but you got.
It's on at bars.
You got
FS1's on at bars.
Yeah, it is. It is. But my point is, you have to do a better job. You really do. So I definitely agree with what you're saying about that. I definitely see your point.
Yeah. Again, it's just growing the sport. For me, I mean, you gotta be able to continue to grow this game just overall. And I just think that they've been doing a bad job. I think the Apple deal is a good deal, but I think that they just lacked up too much into it.
Yeah.
They just went into it too much. And like I said, I've had a couple friends go, whatever happened to MLS? And that's a crazy thing to bring up is like, yeah, it's alive, but it's on Apple, right? Another, and we'll see how that goes. So predictions, right? Are we doing predictions here? I mean, it's just me and you, but I think we should do a prediction, right?
We can do predictions. I'm down. Why don't you go first?
Okay,
you go first.
I'm gonna stick with, unfortunately, of my thought process on this, that everything is against Atlanta United in this situation. Spoiler, I am picking Atlanta to win game 2, as long as nothing crazy happens in game 1 where you've got some guys out. But I expect Miami to run this one, game 1, because you have everything against them, and I think they lose 3-1.
Yeah, I do have Miami winning on Friday. I think a 2-0. I can see a 2-0 scoreline. I can see Messi scoring twice, either Messi or Suarez. One or both, or a combination of both. They just have just an incredible technical or attacking ability. I think that'll be really tough for Atlanta to handle, especially in the hostile environment that it's going to be Chase Stadium on Friday night. You have really the world watching, Times Square watching, you have TikTok watching, and it's going to just be a tough night for Atlanta United. Again, I'm like you, by the way. That's not saying that they won't win any games this series. I think kind of like you, they will win at home to where's a winner take all game 3, but I don't know if I see it on Friday. They'll be a confident bunch. They'll be a confident team going into that match. But yeah, I do see Inter Miami winning 2-0. Messi and Suarez. I'm going to say Messi and Suarez score that in that match and put Miami up 1-0 heading into match 2, game 2. Next Saturday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. By the way, an 8:45 kickoff, I believe, from Chase Stadium on Friday night. So not super late, but later than usual to account for the global TV audience, I guess. And it's going to have like the whole shebang. everybody's going to be behind it. So could go really bad or really good for Atlanta. So I'm happy to be wrong. I'm sure you'll be happy to be proven wrong by Atlanta. They've proven us wrong before. So let's see what happens.
They go to penalties. That'd be hilarious. That'd be absolutely hilarious.
I wouldn't mind that.
Guzan stops Messi and Suarez.
By the way, real quick, stat about that, by the way, from Johanna Schneider, communications, part of the Atlanta United communications team. Atlanta United this season have saved, I'm trying to get this, Brad Guzan has saved 4 penalty kicks this season. Coming in, Johanna said, all Atlanta United keepers had combined for 3 penalty kick saves in the club's history across all competitions, which is crazy. Josh Cohen has saved 3. So the team total is 7 penalties saved this season. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's incredible.
But, yeah, look, I'll finish with this. Brad Guzan, I understand his age and all this, and no one expected him to have the season he has. As long as you have a capable person, just in case things do go south next year, and maybe you can get yourself a little bit of a discount from Brad, maybe to help out with the cap and say, hey, we're trying to get one last run for you into a playoffs. Yeah. Would you mind helping us out a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm totally down with it for sure. I'd be down with being able to keep him for at least one more year.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it's Josh Cohen ends up being the guy, I'm sure he's not going to be overly happy about it. I'm pretty sure they gave him a wink, wink, nudge, nudge that he was going to be the guy, you know, next year. But this is sports. Brett Favre just kept not retiring. Kurt Warner, sorry, man. I'm staying until you make a movie about me and it comes out in theaters. Like, that's just how it works sometimes with these guys, is you just don't expect them to go. And
yeah, I would like that. I can see that happening. But yeah, like I said, give him his flowers. He's been really good this season.
And leadership. Like, I understand leadership, and sometimes I've rolled my eyes about leadership sometimes on this, but we said this weeks ago, right? Who was the only guy sticking up for the guys that got knocked down? Brad Guzan.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that has been the number one motivator on this team and screaming and yelling when they win? Obviously, they've been showing the speeches. Brad Guzan. If there's a person that's going to take over, to help for the transition of, what we think is very likely a new coach, Brad Guzan's the guy to help take it from here to here. And then Brad becomes our keepers coach in 2025. 2026.
I wouldn't mind that at all, to be honest with you. I could definitely see that. That's
my fan fiction.
I hope he stays involved with the club after he retires. I really do. I mean, this is his second home. I mean, he's from Chicago, but this has been second home. He has a young family, able to raise his kids here, so I hope he stays connected to the club once he retires.
Everyone else has left. No one else really stayed.
Garza's still around. Mikey's still around.
Yeah, they were delivering ice cream. Yeah. they're the ice cream guys. That's the last time I saw them.
They're still around, but yeah, I certainly hope he sticks around this club in some form or fashion. But yeah, Friday night, first of best of 3 against Inter Miami, Messi and Inter Miami, and hopefully it's a good series. Hopefully everything goes right and Atlanta United somehow advances. Go down swinging at least. If you go out, at least go out with a maximum effort. Don't lay down and die against Inter Miami, because that won't look good. Give it your all, give it your full effort, and who knows what happens.
No one's gonna say, "Oh, Atlanta got destroyed." I think it's just gonna be like,
I knew it.
It happened. It happened what they thought was gonna happen.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Yeah. Side note, Richeche, I think I said his name right. 2 for 2.
Nice.
Tonight.
Good start for the rookie.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back Friday. Pre-match show at 7:30. Again, 8:30, 8:45 kickoff from Chase Stadium. So we'll have a pre-match show then. Of course, stay tuned. ScarvesandSpikes.com. All the great coverage. No, this is not the Bad Heron show, Omer. I'm sorry.
Hey, we try to be honest with our predictions here. Right? I mean, we're I already said I'm picking Atlanta game 2. Omar, if you're late, I gave a whole bunch of reasons why the entire episode, and 90% of it was on MLS and his scheduling, unfortunately.
Yeah. We'll see. But no, we'll be back Friday with our pre-match show, 7:30. Join us as we, again, as always, react to Atlanta United's starting 11 as soon as it comes out. Spaces on X. Join us on X at Scarves and Spikes. If you're not following us on X, definitely do that. Follow us on X for all of our covers. Scarvesandspikes.com. All that good stuff. Link to our Patreon. Link to our store. Of course, we are on pretty much every social media platform at Scarves and Spikes. So join us there.
We might do a watch along on Friday. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling, and see how everyone else is feeling. But we've done watch alongs for the last 2 games, and we are undefeated. So if we don't do it, then who knows what happens. So we might do a watch along. Stay tuned. I'm hoping so.
We will let you guys know. But thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate your support all season. And we'll be back next time for more Scarves and Spikes.
I really need the Hawks to be decent this year. I need a good winter team to watch.
The Falcons are a winter team, kind of.
Yeah, no, they are, and they're doing all right. I mean, I know that this is a soccer thing, but man, the Buccaneers have nobody to play wide receiver against the Falcons on Sunday. I'm so excited.
I know.
I'm so excited to watch that game. And I hate Baker. I don't hate Baker Mayfield, but I just don't like him.
Strongly dislike him.
Yeah. I got a friend that is a Baker maniac, so I like proving him wrong that when the Falcons beat him. So we'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully,
we got way more Atlanta sports than we thought for the next couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Way more than what we thought. We're like, okay, it's just going to be the Hawks and the Falcons. No. We've got Atlanta United for 2 more.
I'm here for it. Hopefully we have them for much longer. Maybe December.
Yeah, we could take this to December.
Why not?
I need a trip to LA. I would love a trip to LA.
Same here.
All right, guys. See ya.
Thanks, everyone.